Hi, I'm Teresa Mitchell with the Washington Department of Fish and Wildlife. We're here in the Duckabush estuary today, which is on the west side of Hood Canal. It's a beautiful December day, and we're going to hear a little bit about a project that is going to happen here in the estuary. The Duckabush estuary is an incredibly beautiful spot along the west shore of Hood Canal, but has been degraded for almost 100 years by a wall of highway fill that nearly severs the ecological connection of the river to its tidelands. The Department of Fish and Wildlife, in partnership with the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, the Washington State Department of Transportation, and the Hood Canal Salmon Enhancement Group, is proposing to correct this legacy environmental impact by conducting an estuary restoration project. Since the late 1800s, estuary wetland habitat in Puget Sound has declined in size and complexity, with 56% loss of tidal wetlands in Puget Sound's 16 largest river estuary deltas. Many Puget Sound estuaries have been diked and filled or adapted into ports. Estuaries are places where fresh and saltwater mix, creating conditions for unique plant assemblages, as well as an important place for salmon to undergo the physical changes they need in order to be successful as they migrate between the fresh and saltwater environments. This includes things like feeding, growing, hiding from predators, and adapting to the saltwater environment. Lost estuarine habitat impacts a variety of fish and wildlife species listed as endangered or threatened at both the state and federal level, including Puget Sound Chinook, summer chum, and the southern resident killer whales. The Duckabush River is one of Puget Sound's 16 largest rivers, and you quickly notice the opportunity it presents for habitat restoration because it has not been fully altered. The main feature that is preventing the estuary from providing its full benefit is the highway stretching over 1,600 feet, almost 1/3 of a mile, across the estuary and supported by tens of thousands of cubic yards of fill. So behind me, in addition to the highway and the fill that you can see, is a channel that's been disconnected from the river itself. It actually runs right up to the fill of the highway, and it just dead ends, meaning that any fish or any other wildlife that's trying to use that channel to get up the river reaches this blockade in front of them and can't get past. Not only does this decrease the estuary area available for use by migrating salmon, but it changes how water moves, mixes, and responds during high river flow events. The Estuary Restoration Project would reconnect the river to its floodplain and wetlands by relocating Highway 101 onto an estuary-spanning bridge just upstream of the current highway, removing the existing bridges, roadway, and fill, and modifying local roads. I'm standing on the left bank levee of the main fork of the Duckabush River here in the estuary. This levee, along with the one just over here, the right bank levee, would be removed as part of the project to reconnect the river to its floodplain and the distributary channels. Right now, these levees were constructed at the same time that the highway was constructed to channel the river in one location under the bridge, the little gap in the highway that allows this water out. Behind me is the fork where the north fork of the river splits off, and there's a second bridge just up the road here where that water is allowed to go through that small opening out to the estuary. So by removing all of this levee fill and the highway and the fill that is supporting the highway, it reconnects the entire estuary and allows it to function in its more natural condition. Sequencing construction to complete highway relocation first allows the vital transportation link to the Olympic Peninsula to stay open throughout construction. WDFW is requesting state capital funds for construction of the estuary spanning bridge, which will leverage millions more in federal funding through our partnership with the Army Corps of Engineers. Construction is the final phase of activity that brings to fruition over 2 decades and over $32 million invested by the state of Washington the Army Corps of Engineers, and a consortium of partners that formed the Puget Sound Nearshore Ecosystem Restoration Project, known as PSNERP, to identify opportunities for shoreline habitat restoration. Located primarily on WDFW-owned lands in the Duckabush unit of the North Olympic Wildlife Area, the project demonstrates the Department of Fish and Wildlife's commitment to stewarding our lands for future generations. The project improves estuary habitat for fish and wildlife, including Hood Canal summer chum and Chinook salmon, which is a main food source for endangered southern resident killer whales. Once completed, the project would reduce seasonal flooding in the lower river. The new estuary-spanning highway bridge would be built to current safety standards and would allow for wildlife, such as the large local elk herd, to pass safely beneath the highway. A project this scale will bring hundreds of living wage jobs to the region. Engagement and coordination with landowners, tribes, and stakeholders has occurred throughout the project design and will continue as the project progresses.
Hi there, I'm Mendy Harlow, the Executive Director of the Hood Canal Salmon Enhancement Group. Our role in this project is landowner outreach and acquisitions within the project area. We are funded with Salmon Recovery Funding Board dollars for the acquisitions associated with this project. We're standing here right next to Pierce Creek, which is the site of the old Brennan Fire Station, which we acquired back in 2017 with RCO funds through the Salmon Recovery Funding Board.
State and federal partners are currently in design phase and anticipate reaching 35% level design in the spring of 2021. Design is expected to be completed in 2022.